The two-way tables are very, very interesting. Kind of hard at the beginning, but once it clicks, you're gonna find that it's pretty easy to work. So actually, if you find it difficult at the beginning, like I said, it is kind of hard at the beginning once it clicks. So just hang in there, okay? So here we have the two tables show some information about the number of bookcases the factory makes in 1 week. Okay, so the reason why we call it two-way, it's because if we want to know the material, what type of furniture, in this case, we're gonna read it this way. We can read it as pine, as oak. There's some information about pine, information about oak, and information about you. Now, if we want to know about the sizes, we're gonna read it this way, something about small, medium, and large. Okay, so like I said, we can read it. It depends. You want to read the material it was made or the size it was made. That's what we call it two-way. Now, let me highlight here. I have the totals, and here I have the totals as well. Now, the total's a sum. It's a sum of numbers. Here, I see some information missing. I know these three spaces here for small, pine, oak, and yew, it says that it's supposed to add up to 20. There's 20 furnitures, there's 20 things that were small. I know 7 are pine, 3 are yew, so I'm just gonna say that 10 of them, there's 10 oak small furnitures. Now, where did the 10 come from? Again, the small, when I add all these numbers, has to add up to 20. So the total is basically a simple addition. Now, when I look at mediums, I wish I knew what was the total so I could find out pine medium. So I'm not going to be able to do that. I don't know that at the time. But let me look at it this way. When I'm looking at oak, I know 10 of them are small, 16 of them are medium. I don't know about large, and the total is 34. I'm gonna look either a row or a column where I'm just missing one number. Earlier, I couldn't find anything about medium because if you notice, I was missing 2 values. But when I'm looking at oak, in the whole row, I'm only missing one number. Now, I am going to say that here for large, I'm gonna write an 8. Because I know 10 plus 16 is 26. I need 8 more to make it equal to 34. Looking at pine large, looking at this number, I can pretty much figure it out. Why? Because when I look at this column right here, notice I'm only missing one value. I know these 3 values, that the one that I'm missing, plus 8 plus 2, they all have to add up to 14. All right, 8 and 2, the two numbers that I have already add up to 10. I'm gonna say I need 4 more because the whole total is 14. Notice how I'm not reading anything about the question yet. I'm just filling out my empty spaces. I can look at this row at this moment because I'm only missing one space. I know 7 and 4, the two numbers given, 7 plus 4 is 11. I need to make it a total 23. So I'm gonna say the number that I'm missing right here, it is 12. Because the 3 numbers, when I add the 3 numbers, has to equal to the big number, right? 7 plus 12 plus 4 has to equal to 23. Now I can come back to, let me erase this, let me clear this up. And I can come up to this point right here. I have those 3 values. I have the 3 small numbers, 12 plus 16 plus 8. When I add all 3, has to equal to 36. Now, one thing, When I do add up these three numbers, 20 plus 36 plus 14 is equal to 70. So I'm gonna write a 70 here. Interesting part is that if I add these three numbers, 23 plus 34 plus 13, it is also equal to 70. Okay, so that has to match. Okay, now that I fill up all my empty spaces, let me come back to the question here. How many bookcases are made of oak and small size? When I'm asking for a question that starts with how many, then we're going to have two types of questions, the how many type of questions and what is the probability type of question. When I'm asking for a how many type of question, my answer will be a single number. Not a single digit, but a single number. So how many bookcases are made of oak and small? So oak is this way. Small is this way. I'm going to say oak and small, they meet right here. So I'm going to say there's 10 of them. So my answer will be 10. Let's take a look at question number 2. It is actually the same two-way table. So I'm just going to fill out the numbers that we did for number 1. We figure that this was 10, this was 12, 4, 8. There was a 36 down here, and the whole thing was about 70. Okay, so I just fill out my information because now I'm going to look at what's the probability type of question. So we have the same table, right? The two-way table shows some information about the number of bookcases that the factory makes in 1 week. What's the probability? So now keep in mind, I said, what's the probability that a pine desk, so I'm talking about pine, so I'm going to be looking at this row, that a pine desk is medium. So everything about pine bookcases, what's the probability that pine desk is medium? I know that pine and medium is 12. So let me just write, right, for the moment, let me write, there's 12 pine medium bookcases. But now it's because it says, what's the probability that a pine desk is medium? So I have to say how many are medium out of, so I'm going to put a fraction, how many pine trees are there total? Now, because I mentioned pine before medium, I'm talking about pine desk. So how many pine bookcases are there total? There's 23 bookcases that are pine. So I'm going to say 12 out of 23. Let me refresh your mind on question number 1. When the question was how many type of question, like how many bookcases are made of oak in small size, my answer is a number. When my question is what's the probability type of question, my answer is a fraction, 12 over 23. Now, if I can simplify the fraction, right, if there's a number that I can divide 12 and 23 by, if I can simplify my fraction, by all means do so. In this case, we cannot, but I'm saying if we can, make sure you simplify. All right, let's take a look at another question here. The two-way table shows some information about the number of students in a school. How many boys are in 9th grade? Okay, so first of all, let me fill out the two-way table here. Now, here, when it comes to 10th graders, I know there's 256 10th graders. 123 are girls. So I'm just going to go 256, which is the total. 256 minus 123. So I'm going to figure that there's 133 boys in 10th grade. When I'm looking at the row in boys, right, I'm looking at either a row or a column. I'm looking for a row or column that is only missing one value. So look at the row that says boys. So here, I know there's 407 boys total. There's 407 boys. 125 are in the 11th grade, 133 are in the 10th grade. I can pretty much figure out how many are in the 9th grade. I'm just gonna go 407, which is the total amount of boys, minus 125. So I remove the 11th graders, minus 133, so I remove the 10th graders, and I'm gonna find out that there's 149 ninth graders. When I look at all the ninth graders, like I said, I'm looking at either a row or a column that's only missing one value. I know there's 149 boys. There's 303 total. So I'm just going to go 303 minus 149. So I find out that there's 154 girls that are ninth graders. Okay, what else can we fill out here? They see two values that I can easily fill. I'm going to put those boxes there. If I look at this row, there's 303 9th graders. There's 256 10th graders. I don't know how many 11th graders, but there's a total of 831. So let me start with 831 minus 303 minus 256, and I'm going to find out that there's 272 11th graders. When I'm looking at this column here, there's 831 total kids. There's 407 boys. So let me go 831 minus 407, and I'm going to find out that there's 424 girls. For the missing space here, when it comes to 11th graders, there's 272 total minus 125. I'm going to find out there's 147 girls that go to 11th grade. Okay, do I have everything filled out? I do. All right, so let me come back to the question. How many boys? So let me highlight. It's a how many type of question, so I'm expecting a number. How many boys are in ninth grade? So I see information about boys. I see ninth grade. And my answer in this case will be 149. We can see there's 149 boys that are in ninth grade. Now this information, let me just copy it for question number 4. It's the same table, so I'm not gonna answer this all over again. Let me just fill out my spaces here. 149, 154, 133, 147. I'm just filling out the information that I filled out in the first question. So the two-way table shows some information about the number of students in a school. What is the probability? So just let me highlight. What is the probability? I expect my answer to be a fraction. What is the probability that a boy, keep in mind I mentioned a boy first, is in 10th grade? So I'm looking at the rows here for boys. Okay, so first I ask myself, how many boys are in 10th grade? Well, I'm going to say 133. Because I'm looking at boys, I'm going to ask myself, how many boys are there total? In this case, 407. If you can simplify the fraction, by all means do so. In this case, there's no number that I can divide them by. So 133 over 407.